All right, doing a quick review on a little item that I'm pretty excited about. This is direct from Target Hobby. They've got a store on Amazon set up. It's US direct shipping, so you order, and I always get my products from them when I place the order through Amazon within, like, I don't know, 4 to 6 days is what it seems like, but it comes fast. I've had it come in as little as 2 or 3 days. I've been really impressed with Target Hobby so far, and I've gotten to review a couple of their products. So purchased this from Amazon and excited to take a look at it. I'll grab my knife and pop this baby open. All right. So let's see how she comes. All right. So it comes in an anti-static envelope, which is nice. Go ahead and open it. And we're going to do some field testing with this thing. I've got some ideas in mind, and I got to wait till my wife is available to help me. But this thing is sweet, guys. All right. This is not just a voltage alarm, although you'll see the selector button on the back for selecting voltage. This is not just a voltage alarm. Those are the little sirens. This is also a lost alarm. This is called a 3-in-1 buzzer. And I don't know if there's multiple sellers, but I know Target Hobby sells these. They're the first that I've seen sell them, and I love this thing. So the way that this works, 3-in-1. First, if your voltage, and this is the cable for your voltage, if your voltage gets too low, and you could set the threshold with this button on the side, and then the LED lights that are on here will show you which mode you're in. I'll show you that in the instruction manual in just a second. Which, by the way, the instruction manual is impressive as well. I was really happy with that. But you can set your voltage with the LED lights by pushing this button. So that's your alarm, and that's all you really need. You don't necessarily need a voltage readout. Once it's in the air, I don't notice it, so I don't care. I do like the fact, size comparison, much lighter, much smaller. No LCD screen, but even though there's no LCD screen here, LED screen with the little lights, although there's no screen, benefit it's smaller, but even better, this functions as a lost alarm, because you'll notice right here they provide you with this plug with a male, female, and another female. And what you can do is plug this in here and then plug this in through your receiver, interrupting a channel, and it'll grab the signal. And if you run this through your switch channel on your radio, like your gear switch or something like that, you can flip the switch to set off the alarm. So if you crash and you don't know where your quad is, you can flip this switch. It's also supposed to be set up, and I got to test this yet, but it's also supposed to be set up to just be able to shut your radio off, or if you lose signal, then this alarm will start beeping. So if there's no signal being sent through the servo wires through your receiver, then this thing will automatically go off because there's no signal. As well, if your voltage gets too low while you're flying, it'll send off an alarm, and then you know it's time to land. If you lose it before you land, the alarm is supposed to go off, and then you can track down your aircraft. So to me, this sure seems like the best solution out of any others. I've done the Pico buzzer on the NACE 32 board. I think it's the NACE 32 board or whatever it is, and it's so hard to keep track of all that stuff. But you pick up a couple of these, which I purchased 2 of them. But you pick up a couple of these, and you're set. You could switch these back and forth, maybe a little bit of Velcro on the back, and you could switch them from aircraft to aircraft. And then every time you fly, you not only have a monitor for your LiPo, so if any cell dips below your preset, then it'll automatically start beeping, and you know it's time to land. If, unfortunately, you crash it out of sight in some field or out in the woods, or even at a park where you can't see or find it, and trust me, it happens. I've lost stuff. My brother-in-law one time texted me. He had just bought a quad, and 1 hour after buying it, he charged the battery, flew it, and lost it, and never saw it again. If he had an alarm on that quad, he'd have found that quadcopter. So these things, man, these are just like your insurance policy to protect your investment. I also promised you guys I was going to show you the manual. I got my tablet over here. So the manual comes in full color. This is a digital version of it, which I prefer everything digital. But you'll notice right here it gives you instructions for the LED for the cells. So you can kind of adjust it based on the colors, and it even shows you in the diagram. So if you've got one lit, it's 3-4. 2, 3, 5, 3, 3, 6, and 3 of them lit, 3, 7. And then if you only want to use it as a lost buzzer alarm or whatever you want to use it as, there's also instructions for how to do that. It'll show you F1 and F3, F1, F2, and then you just follow the setup. So let's go ahead and get it all set up, and then we'll test it and see how it works. I'm going to test it using this Blue MX receiver from Target Hobby. This is a 5-channel receiver that they sent for me to be able to review. Really love this receiver. So I'll hook up this receiver, I'll grab my LiPo and a speed controller and just kind of put this all together and then do some field testing with it so that you guys can see how accurate this thing is and how well it works, how simple it is to use. Alright, so taking a look at the mess that I've made, it looks like a monstrosity, but it's chaos, I guess, on purpose. It's chaos with order. So what you have here is a little bit of a test stand that I set up so that we can check the range on the RX, the Blue MX receiver, the AR500, and then also show you how the alarm works. So I'll go ahead and use this right now just to show you how the alarm works. I'll do another video to show how the Blue MX signal is working. But right now I have this set up on the gear channel. You see the lead comes out of this alarm, goes to the gear channel, and I've also got it wired into the battery. So if the battery voltage drops below 3.4, this is going to go off telling me that the voltage is too low. If I flip the switch, the gear switch, because I've got it plugged into the gear channel, if I flip the gear switch on my radio, it becomes a location buzzer with a little bit of a beep. Each time I cycle the switch, it beeps 3 times. So it's kind of like Marco Polo kind of thing, I guess. I don't know. You flip the switch and you get an alarm. So that's awesome. The other thing that you can do, and I did test this, but the other thing that you can do, let's see if I can set the camera down, is switch this around so that, I'm going to unplug the power real quick. Switch this around so that the throttle runs through, plug this back in, so that the throttle runs through the buzzer, the ESC, and what you'll get is a signal loss alarm instead of having it on the gear switch. So if you were to lose signal, then it would work that way. I haven't figured out a way to set both of them up at the same time, but you can set up one or the other. I'll plug the battery back in. You'll see how this functions. There's the super loud beep. Okay. ESC is starting up. Go ahead and cycle it. Make sure that the motor is working. Motor is working. The alarm buzzer is letting me know that it's working, and the throttle is working. I knocked my super cool straw off, but the alarm is working. Throttle is working. And what I'm going to do, whoa, back up here, shut the radio off. The RX light goes out. Now let's see if the alarm goes off. While we're waiting for this alarm to go off, I'll just briefly talk about the big difference between this kind of an alarm and this kind of alarm. This kind of alarm does not function as a signal loss alarm. The only thing this does is when the battery gets too low, it lets you know it's time to land, which, by the way, extremely, extremely valuable. If you have a lost alarm on your RC, but you don't have any kind of alarm for your battery, you need to get one of these. And Target Hobby does sell these. You need to have one of these to save the life of your battery, or you can time your flights. But there you go. The signal is going off. That's because it's not been receiving a signal for some time now, and that's because the radio is off. Everything is powered. Everything is plugged in. We've lost signal. About a minute went by, a little less than that, and so the thing starts beeping. Now, it'll continue to beep as though you've lost your RC until, like your vehicle, until it gets signal again. So let me go ahead and flip this back on. As soon as I flip this back on, and the power comes back on to the receiver, there we go, the signal stops, hopefully. Okay. So apparently the signal doesn't stop. that's okay. If it loses signal, then the alarm will beep until you find it. So that's kind of how that thing works. This is going to get obnoxious fast, so let me just unplug this quick and then finish explaining the difference. All right. There we go. So obviously, as you can see, this monitors the battery power. If it gets too low, it'll go off. But at the same time, it also, there's the battery power. It also functions as a lost alarm buzzer. Now, if you've crashed an aircraft in a field with long grass, you know exactly what this is for. If you've never done that, you might be confused. Let me tell you, this is unbelievably valuable when you crash your vehicle in a place where you can't see it, be a quadcopter or an airplane. So this functions as both, and I'll tell you what I love about this thing. Look at this. I'll set it on the board next to it. Look at how small that thing is. It is so small and so much lighter, and it does twice as much basically. Like I showed you, you can also set this thing up through the gear channel, and then when you flip the switch, you can choose to set that alarm off or plug it in through the throttle channel, and when you've done that, if it loses signal, it'll go off. So it's your choice. For me, I don't ever fly far enough. I think I like the gear switch idea, but it functions as either one, and the whole time it is monitoring your battery, which is a super, super cool feature. So there you go. That's the Lost Alarm buzzer sold by Target Hobby. Not sure if anyone else sells anything like this, but I know Target Hobby does, and great purchase.